When it was first announced that the Defiler was getting an update, I immediately began coming up with ideas of what I could turn one into. Sarpedon, a Soul Grinder, a Dark Mechanicum unit, just to name a few. But when I received an early box from Games Workshop and could finally get my hands on the sprues, I knew that I finally had to give Perturabo his own model in 40k. Fortunately, Games Workshop also released this particular piece of artwork of the Iron Warrior Primarch, which provided me with a rough idea on how to build him. So, armed with both, I set to work. My biggest hurdle to cross was the fact that the artwork of Perturabo showed him as being bipedal, whereas the Defiler was hexapedal. So I needed something that was both on the same scale and also fit the overall Iron Warrior theme, which led me to the Thanatar kit, specifically the Kitbashed variant. So with the Siege Automata to hand, I could begin removing the parts required to build the main sphere of the Defiler before cleaning up the parts and assembling them as per the instructions. With the Defiler torso piece built, I followed this up by then preparing the leg and waist pieces of the Thanatar, but I didn't assemble anything just yet, because first I needed to reposition the leg. If you follow the instructions for the Thanatar, you will assemble the legs in a kind of dog leg fashion. This is with a high knee joint and an ankle joint around the midpoint. I wanted Perturabo to still look human in form, so I needed to do a little more adjustment. This started out with me removing some of the tabs from the inside joints to allow a greater range of movement. With these tabs removed, my adjustment of the leg also required me to reassess how the leg pistons would be attached. After doing a quick dry fit of the leg in my desired position, I did notice that one of the pistons needed to be cut down just where it touched the thigh above the knee. With the piston cut down, the original lower leg piece would now become part of the thigh. It was flipped upside down and glued in line with the waist joint, creating a mechanical thigh. The lower leg was assembled as per the instructions, but my tweak to the position also required me to adjust the calf piston. Again, this needed to be clipped down in order to fit, and from here, I built the lower leg, but didn't glue the piston or the knee in place just yet. With the leg complete, I repeated all the same steps on the second leg. With the legs built, and still flexible, I now needed to figure out a way to bond them to the Defiler torso that I'd already built, and this was probably the trickiest stage of the entire build. I had narrowed down the solution to being a combination of the Defiler's fleshy midsection and the Thanatar's mechanical one. The Thanatar midsection would actually become a kind of mechanical pelvis and would sit between the Defiler's stomach, but this first needed to be cut down using my saw. The trick is to cut away less than you need. That way you can just clip and file away the remaining areas until it lines up with your intended contact points, which is exactly what I did. As many of you may know, when I'm not hunched over a desk kitbashing some tiny plastic soldiers, I'm often out on the road running my own stall at a busy convention, and finding time to eat can be tricky. The same goes for when you're at a tournament and only have a small window to grab lunch between games. Usually, you're looking at a choice between a very sad and very expensive burger or just skipping food entirely and relying on energy drinks alone. I've done both and it's not pretty. But fortunately, today's sponsor, YFood, is here to help out. As the bottle says, this is food, and they are just incredibly convenient for when life gets busy and you don't want to compromise on a meal. Now, YFood isn't just a protein shake, it's a complete and balanced meal. One of these 500ml bottles provides you with 500 calories alongside 26 essential vitamins and minerals, a good amount of fiber, no added sugar, and up to 30 grams of protein. But the best part for me is that it actually keeps you full for about 3 to 5 hours, which is ideal for getting you through those final few games of the day or a busy afternoon at a trade show without your energy flagging or your stomach screaming at you. And what's great is that there is no prep, no mess, and they don't even need to be refrigerated. Just drop a bottle in your bag with your rulebooks and your dice, and you have a much better alternative to junk food already on hand. Now, with all the sensible stuff out of the way, let's talk about the important bits, the flavors. YFood have launched these online exclusive taster packs, which I've been trying out, and the first of these is the Classic Pack, which includes flavors like Smooth Vanilla, Classic Choco, Fresh Berry, Cold Brew Coffee, and Happy Banana. But that's just the start of it. There's also the new Bestseller Taster Pack. Now, I'm a big fan of milkshakes, so the fudge brownie, creamy cookie, and salted caramel flavours really hit the spot for me. But if you have a penchant for the more refreshing yogurt-style drinks, then there are the fruity flavours like strawberry and peach too. And that's just to name a few of the many flavours available. But don't just take my word for it. Give Waifood a try for yourself and streamline your next tournament, event, or 24-hour painting challenge. Scan the QR code, use my link down below, and use my code PETE-NEW to get 20% off your order if you're a new customer. And if you're a returning customer, you can still get 10% off by using my code PETE-YouTube. So take advantage of those savings and stock up for your next big event. Thanks again for Waifood for sponsoring the channel. Now let's get back to Perturabo. Once I'd finished the slow process of tweaking, trimming, and comparing the Defiler and Thanatar midsections, I didn't break out the glue just yet. Instead, I focused on attaching the Thanatar legs to the midsection rather than the intended waist piece. I did use the intended waist joints, but these did need to be trimmed and adjusted until they could fit correctly. With the pieces lining up, they were glued to the midsection. I was left with my new robo-pelvis. At this point, I could finally attach the Defiler midsection to the robo-pelvis, and following this, I could begin attaching the legs as well. This started out as a dry fit that allowed me to pick the positions of the feet and the legs. Once I was happy with all of those, I could glue all the joints to lock the positions into place. With Perturabo's lower half complete, I could shift my attention to his upper half, specifically his arms. When it came to these, I couldn't rely on either the Thanatar or the Defiler kit, and instead I need to rely on an old favourite, the Nemesis Dread Knight or NDK. This also had the added benefit of a hammer-wielding hand, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I started up the left arm and assembled my NDK left arm and compared this against part of the Thanatar's shoulder using a dry fit against the Defiler torso. This piece fit neatly over the Defiler ball joints, and after clipping away the NDK ball joint, it also created the perfect mounting point to glue the arm to. However, rather than using the original NDK fist, I instead decided to repurpose some of the Defiler's claws. But first, I needed to cut and trim away part of the joint from the claw before gluing it to the cuff of the left arm. Beneath the two larger claws, I then attached a smaller claw to act as a sort of thumb before gluing the whole arm to the shoulder. As I hinted at earlier, for the right arm I would use the NDK's Demon Greathammer as a proxy for Perturabo's Forgebreaker, but before I could do anything with it, I first had to remove the obvious Grey Knight iconography. The hammer itself was far too small to represent a named weapon like Forgebreaker, and against the bulk of my Perturabo, it would have looked like he was going to hang a painting. So it needed bulking out. This was achieved by repurposing many of the extra parts and doodads found in the Thanatar kit. The face of the hammer was first extended by attaching some of the studs from the plasma mortar, extending the length of the hammerhead. Then, to bulk out the hammer, I used some more parts from the plasma mortar, specifically these panels. The larger of these were trimmed and attached to the top and underside, with the smaller flaps being attached to the sides. With the front of the hammer sufficiently bulked out, a couple of gripping claws were attached to the rear along with a final flap at the very rear of the hammer. Now that the hammerhead was looking a little beefier, I needed to balance out the length of the handle against it. This started out with me clipping away the pommel of the hammer and trimming down one of the Defiler's larger pistons. With both parts prepped, the piston was attached and the handle of the hammer was much better scaled against the head. By this point in the build, I now had the basic structure of the model complete, which is always a trickier part of a big kitbash like this. From here, the remaining tasks were much more straightforward and would simply be adding to the existing frame. The first of these would be the armor panels around the torso and shoulders. The top panel was the torso piece that you would normally attach to the trophy rack to, but I decided not to use this particular piece in this build. Then, over the shoulders, I would attach both pairs of shoulder armor that comes with the Defiler kit. And I began with the spiked set of pads. I tried to avoid adding spikes as much as possible, so the protrusions above the shoulder pad's ridge were trimmed away, and the pad was glued to its intended spot on the torso. However, to further bulk out the torso and better blend the Thanatar pieces into the rest of the model, I added the second set of shoulder pads, slightly overlapping the first. These also had a similar styling to the original Perturabo model, again helping to tie my demon prints into his original design. Continuing with this fleshing out process, I next attached the Defiler's exhaust along with some of the Defiler leg panels to Perturabo's lower legs. Now, as I didn't intend to use the chest cannon part of the Defiler, I decided to repurpose the more featureless top armor panel as a new torso piece. This slotted into place quite nicely, with little adjustment to either side needed. This up-armoring was continued by attaching some of the smaller Defiler armor panels to the arms. I did need to cut back and trim the pipes from the NDK arms though, in order for these to fit. Now that I had a little more armor on my Perturabo, I could start building out his arsenal. The first of these were some missile pods across the shoulders. The artwork is fairly low on detail in this area, so it does appear that there is some sort of weaponry or exhaust system present. So, with a little creative liberty, I decided to attach a pair of Duradio missile launchers. After assembling them as per the instructions and performing a quick dry fit, I realized that two of the exhausts I'd previously attached had to be removed. Sometimes this happens with kitbashes. You make a decision at one stage that causes problems later on, but never be afraid to undo your work when necessary. With the launcher's poles clipped down, I swapped the sides that they would normally be placed on and glued them to the torso. For Perturabo's wrist-mounted Logos array, I scaled things up a little to match his larger size and grabbed some of the Horus Heresy plastic autocannons. In order to mount these to the wrist armor, I first needed to clip away the handle before cleaning up and flattening out the cut. The autocannon barrel was much too long though, so I removed the section between the heat sinks and the flash guard, cleaned up the cuts again, and then glued the pieces together, resulting in a shorter but still beefy looking weapon. This was glued to the wrist and repeated 3 more times to recreate the Logos array. Another detail from the original artwork that I wanted to recreate were the huge servo arms. The artwork features at least 4, but I thought I'd keep things a little simpler with 2. These were built using the original clamp claws from the Thanatar kit attached to 2 of the Defiler's larger legs. One half of the round joints of the legs was attached to another piece, so this meant that I had to remove the excess strut and smooth out the circular joint in order to mount the Thanatar hand. With this done, I drilled some holes into the leg and to Perturabo's back and superglued a piece of steel wire to create a pin. This would just help to add a little more support to the arms. For the left servo arm, I also attached the wrist-mounted gun, also found in the Thanatar kit, before repeating the entire process again across the second servo arm. With the frame, bulk, and weaponry complete, the next stage of this build was to add detail. This involved a variety of different steps, including adding a trimmed back ammo belt to the servo arm, attaching the cables and pistons from the Defiler and Thanatar kits to wherever they A. made sense, B. filled in a hole, and or C. looked cool. This was followed by more armor plates being dotted around in order to generally increase Perturabo's stature. You may have noticed that I'd yet to tackle Perturabo's head by this point, and that was partly because I wasn't entirely sure how to approach it. I originally considered a demonic version of his exposed 30k head, but I ultimately settled on going back to the artwork where it appears he was wearing some sort of helmet or mask that is awfully similar to the Iron Warrior head that comes with the Defiler. But the head alone wasn't enough. After attaching the weird little Defiler head, I then began to attach a series of these flexible metal cables that I sourced from Zinj Industries. They were cut down to fit between the armor around the head and the head itself. Once I'd added cables around the whole head, I attached the Iron Warrior mask and continued to add more, giving me a decent amount of depth in the cabling. What I was left with nicely resembled the artwork. For the most part, everything was complete, but there were still some areas around the waist that looked a little too skinny, and there were still some holes here and there. I would solve both of these problems with some Tamiya epoxy putty. After mixing up a small batch, it was allowed to cure for about 30 minutes or so. Now that it was a little firmer, I took small amounts, rolled them into strands, and laid them in and around the mechanical areas, helping to create more of an organic blend between the mid-torso and the surrounding areas. I did, after all, want this model to look like an unholy bonding of Daemon Primarch and Machine. These strands were steadily built up, and I also used a little bit of the putty to fill in and cover over those previously mentioned holes. After allowing the putty to completely cure, I then broke out the fine grit sandpaper and smoothed out the dried putty with it. I also decided to do a little more tweaking of how I'd previously attached the armor panels, moving a couple from the arms to the waist before replacing them with more panels crafted from the Defiler's las cannons. And with that, the model was complete, and I could finally start the painting process. Now, despite its size, I tackled my Perturabo in a near identical way as to how I painted my Iron Warrior Warsmith from last year. I just went a little heavier with the weathering in order to better fit that chaos theme. For the fleshy areas, I simply painted them in the same way I tackled that regular Marine's undersuit. My thinking here is that the undersuit has mutated and become a physical skin rather than a separate piece of armor. Now, one point of divergence I did make was to recreate that glow seen in the artwork. It would also help to push that chaos aesthetic even further, and I started out with some White Star. This was diluted with some airbrush thinner and painted directly into the various vents and around the head. Dilution caused the paint to mainly accumulate into those recesses and would act as the brightest point of the light source, which I created with an airbrush and some magma orange from the Kaleido Colorworks range. I sprayed this mainly into the vents and head recesses with some overspill onto the surrounding areas. Due to the slightly translucent nature of the paint when applied lightly through an airbrush, it caused the areas painted white to appear much brighter than the areas without the white. As the two combined, it created the effect of light emanating from between the armor panels and vents, leaving me with those glowing effects. All I needed to do then was to give the model a base and a coat of varnish, which left me with this. And here we have my completed take on the Daemon Primarch Perturabo. Now, I'm pretty sure that as a result of making this video, Games Workshop will have an official model getting released at some point in the near future. But I still thought it would be a good, fun challenge to give him a go myself. Now, if you want to give this build a go yourself, I'll include some links to those kits down in the description, along with all the modeling and painting equipment that were used in this video, with some affiliate links. I've also recently partnered with Warhouse, so if you're in Australia, New Zealand, or any country for that matter, and are looking for some discounted Warhammer, be sure to follow my links to them down below. And before I go, let me say a huge thank you to everyone who continues to help keep the channel going. Just by watching, you're helping to support me in making more videos, but if you really want to help out, you can pick up one of my Spare Parts Emporium kits or become a patron or channel member. Members get early access to ad-free videos, exclusive merchandise, and even your name in the credits. Simply follow my Patreon link below or hit the join button, just like my top Patreon supporters did, who are Andrew Marston, Banyevrian, Berserker, Dakota Gaburi, Daniel Dowling, David Ernst, David Smith, George Kanzini Roberts, Little Templar, Matt Savitsky, Matt Mini Minute, Sam Sepulveda, Son of Sevatar, Swedsman, Tim, and Zeth27. And my top channel members, who are Andrew Chell, Bon Johnson, Chris Toomey, Dante, Dave, Doug H, Edmund Unplugged, Guy Bizant, John Gibbs, Kaiser Waffle, 11, Lariat 11, Mark Taylor, Mr. Pogon, Nerdington Paints, Patrick K, Philip Poya, Ryan O'Shaughnessy, SO, SJ Carper, The Sire Acquired, and Whale Tussler. So until next time, thanks for watching, and goodbye.